And the word that was just given falls in so appropriately. Ready for favor. Say that with me. Ready for favor. That's not a question. It's not asking, are you ready for favor? It's a statement. Ready for favor. Anybody say it with me? Ready for favor. I'm ready for favor. I have the Lord's directed the message, and I did have a book in my hand that was on my heart. I just picked up again when I was preparing for this, but Dr. Tim Hill. I'm not preaching Dr. Tim Hill's message, wanting to try to do that, but I am sharing some of the heart that comes from that passage in Amos that we're going to look at here in a moment. And I believe that we're ready for favor. I'm ready for God's moving in my life. I'm ready for Him moving in my family. I'm ready for Him moving in our church. And it comes in different seasons. And let's just talk about seasons for just a moment here. John chapter 4, verse 35. So, do you not say there are still 4 months, and then comes the harvest? Behold, I say to you, lift up your eyes and look at the fields, for they are already white for harvest. As being in Indiana, we know one of the main crops is corn and also soybeans, and we know that there's seasons, right? Indiana may not have 4 distinct seasons, but we have pretty close. We can kind of map it out, and we love the fall, and some of you love the winter. I can do without snow, and sometimes it's heavy, sometimes it's not too bad, but it's beautiful when it first comes down. Yeah, and then we have to deal with it. But it's not a scary thing. It can be fun too, but there's seasons. I'm glad I don't live in Alaska. There's a few amens. If I wanted to go to Alaska, I would say, hey, God, move me to Alaska. Well, fine. I don't want to be in that weather all the time. I'm glad for the different seasons. I'm glad to see. But we understand also, understanding the seasons, we know that when to plant crops and when not to. Just a little bit tip. It's not a good idea to plant flowers in December. Not in Indiana. I mean, you got to know where you're at too, right? But in Indiana, it's not a good thing. You're not going to reap anything. It's going to be hard. It's going to be a lot of hard work. We're going to have to bust up that hard ground, and the dirt's not going to go back over it. It's not going to work, right? So we understand. But also we know that when the seed is planted, that it's not going to grow the next day. Unless it's these horrible weeds out in the parking lot, then they just go out of nowhere. But if you're looking for something that's going to bear fruit, see, there's a difference between a weed and something that bears fruit. A weed gets in and it wants to choke out and kill. But in order to bear fruit that has life in it, it takes time. There's a process that has to take place, and there's this growth period. And we understand when we plant something that we want to see fruit come from, then we have to wait for it. There's a season even here. We know that there's still yet 4 months before the harvest. There's this waiting time. And during that waiting time, there's a lot of things you have to do. You have to work and water. You know those things that go along with it. But the expectation is that something's going to take place with this because I worked, I planted. I know something's going to come, but I know it's not going to just happen tomorrow. But there's still this anticipation. There is going to be fruit. Everybody say that with me. There is going to be fruit. We have to have that expectation. We're just wasting our time if we always talk about planting seed and never see a harvest. We have to expect the harvest. When we're having our prayer meetings, and it may just be a few gathering, but we're not gathering together to pray just to say we did it. We come with expectation, knowing that God hears our prayers, and we're expecting a harvest. I'm expecting new souls to come in. I'm expecting the lost to be won. I'm expecting to see people filled with the baptism of the Holy Spirit. I'm expecting people to be sanctified, surrender their lives completely. I'm not just wondering if this is going to happen. I'm expecting these things. I'm not surprised. I'm not going to be surprised on Tuesday night when God moves in this place, not just because of the group. He can do this if we came in without any music and just sang songs a cappella to Him. His presence comes when we are here to worship. It's about the heart. But I also know that with expectation, when we have that in God, not in ourselves, not in a group, but I know that the atmosphere is going to be set right for somebody who needs deliverance, that it's going to take place. The Sunday morning that we come together, normally it's the believers that are in together needing a recharge. But I want to let you know, you can't just come looking for a recharge. You've got to be connected all the time. You do need to get plugged in, yes. But I need to know that I'm here to worship God because of who He is and what He wants to do in my life. I'm here to hear from Him and grow in Him, ready to be used by Him. It is important to be charged. It's important to be connected. I shared this with our kids just the other day. Just came to me as we was driving it. And I said, you guys don't have cell phones. Most of you have cell phones here. And after they're charged up, they're charged, right? You can't leave your cell phone charged all the time because you don't have a battery pack that you're carrying with it. It comes with its own battery inside that has to be recharged. So they will work. It will last. You can take it everywhere you want to go, but as it's going out, it's draining little by little by little. Is it a cell phone? Did it work when it was fully charged? Did it work when it was 50% charged? Yes, but little by little, it was losing its charge. So it's important that you had to plug it back in. It had to get back to a power source to be recharged, but it never changed from being a cell phone. It didn't turn into anything else. It's still a cell phone. You're still a believer. You have to understand sometimes you've got to disconnect and get out and move around. You can't just stay plugged in at one place all the time because you need to be used outside that one area. But you've got to get connected and keep getting charged back up so you can be ready to be used. Ready to be get called on. Because you will be drained during the week. You'll be drained during, that's why you can't, once a month doesn't count. How many charges your cell phone once a month? How many had to buy the extra battery pack to put on your phone, right? Like, I can't get this, I can't keep this on, you use it all the time. That's what God wants from us, to be used, but to be charged, but not just to be put set aside. Now, we'll preach on that another time. Let's get back to this. Be ready. Harvest. Let's look at Amos chapter 9. This is a powerful passage, and I'm not going to break down the whole book of Amos. Now, I don't want to take it out of the context that it is. This is the prophet Amos speaking to the people of Israel, but we're in here today, and God wants to speak for us today and gather truth from His Word and apply it. And so I'm ready to see what God has for us from this passage without taking it out of context, but understanding the same God that they serve is the God that we serve this morning. This is what Amos is saying under the inspiration of the Spirit of God. It says, on that day I will raise up the tabernacle of David. What does that represent? The house of worship. I'm going to raise it back up. He's talking to a people that are being scattered, being beaten, and they keep falling away from God. Isn't that the whole pattern in the Old Testament? The people of God follow God and they get away from God, and then God says there's going to be a day of judgment, and they get back with God for a while. This is an ongoing cycle. There's people I know like that. Ongoing cycle. God wants us to stay connected to Him, but there's this promise. There will be the day of the Lord when He comes for His church. He's coming back. We have to understand, He's coming back. And He's not going to give us a warning like, hey, tomorrow I'm coming back, so be ready. We have to be ready now. The church needs to be ready now, but until His return, we have to be faithful in doing. And we have to be in anticipation that others are joining the body, the kingdom of God, when we give the testimony and we're talking about the grace of God, and we're talking about the love of God, and we're showing the truth of the gospel of Jesus Christ in our everyday lives because we've been charged up. Back to your phone, there's been times that you've been on a low percentage, like I gotta stop what I'm doing, because if I do anything else, I'm going to lose all power. The phone's going to die. And then if there's an emergency, I can't be reached. Anybody been there? You're afraid to use the phone? There's some Christians that are out there afraid to be used because they haven't been charged up enough. They're afraid, and we were getting this in our discipleship, they're afraid to testify somewhat because over here in their life, they know Christ, but there's some things that they're dealing with, and they're afraid, well, if I say this and they find out this, then they'll forget everything I've said because I'll let them down. That's where the enemy wants to keep you in fear and bondage. But I'm no longer a slave to fear. I've been changed and transformed. My past is behind me. I'm walking new in the grace of Jesus Christ. Yesterday is over. He has something for me today. I'm walking in it. I'm looking forward. I'm not looking behind. God has transformed me. Has anybody else been transformed by the power of Jesus Christ? Doesn't mean you're perfect. But it does mean that we need to try to walk in perfection and in righteousness, because that's what God wants from us. So we got to quit giving the enemy room to put doubt and fear in our lives. You know, there's a lot of Christians that give too much room to the enemy, and that's why they're not being used the way God wants to use them, because they've given too much. Do they know Christ? Yes. But there is something that we don't teach a whole lot on anymore. And I should be careful. I think we do. Sanctification. Anybody know that word? Being set apart. We still believe in sanctification. Salvation gets you to heaven, but sanctification will clean you up so you can have a witness and a testimony for Jesus Christ. And being baptized in the Holy Spirit gives you that power to be that witness. Amen? So that the tabernacle is raised, which has fallen down, and repairs this damage. I will raise its ruins and rebuild it in the days of old, that they may possess the remnant of Edom, all of the Gentiles who are called by my name, says the Lord who does these things. We know God is a restorer. Say that with me. God is a restorer. He's a restorer of lives. There's people who go through cycles. God wants to stay on one straight path towards Him. But people in their human nature, when they're not led by the Spirit all the time, they go to some cycles. It gets back on the path, but it kind of loops off. Kind of like a roundabout. You can get lost, but you can get back on the right road, right? You can go around a couple times, but you can get back on the right road. And sometimes people's lives are like that. They're going down the path. Every once in a while, I have to do that with our kids. I'll get in a roundabout, go around about 3 times, like, what are you doing? Having fun. But I'll go back out the right way. I didn't get sidetracked, but you can get in a cycle where you're not moving forward. That's where the enemy wants to keep you, in this cycle. You're on the right path, but you're really not going anywhere. You're not stuck, you're not stopped, because you're moving, but you keep moving in a circle. God wants us to move forward in Him. So He's a restorer. Verse 13, and this is the one that you really want to hold on to this morning. Behold, the days are coming, says the Lord, when the plowman shall overtake the reaper and the treader of the grapes who sow seeds. The mountain shall drip with sweet wine, and all the hills shall flow with it. Now, we've read these verses before. I've read these verses before. But when Brother Hill began to preach on this and begin to explore what was going on here, what a powerful message. If you think about this, when the plowman shall overtake the reaper. So you know the process of planting seed. Somebody has to till the ground, right? There's a lot of hard work of tilling the ground. It's easier today because we have equipment. We have tractors that just pull these big combines or whatever the device is doing to till the ground up and soften the ground so they can plant the seeds. They're not out there like they used to with the oxen, walking behind it, making the trench, and then someone later on coming in and throwing in seeds. And then what happens after that? You are waiting, right? It's not even imaginable to plant seeds and expect to harvest at the same time. Right? That can't happen. We understand the process of the seed. It has to be planted, then we have to wait, it has to be watered, it has to grow. That's the cycle. That's what happens. That's the natural course of time. How many knows that we have a God that does not see the natural course of time? He sees time differently than we do. When we're waiting for an answer, God already has the answer. Before we even ask the question, God already had the answer. What you're going through, God already knew, but He already knows, and He already can comfort you that I'm going to bring you through this because I don't see time like you see time. It's saying that the reaper is going to overtake the one who's plowing. The reaper is going to, what he's saying is that it's going so fast. This miracle that's taking place in the course of God's timing. God doesn't see that it has to be planted and it has to be soiled and then it has to grow. No, we say that the harvest is here right now. As soon as you plant it, it's growing. As soon as you begin to soften the ground, there's going to be fruit coming up. I want to let you know, revival takes place. We don't have to keep seeking for revival. We're in revival. Let's be an expectation that we're not saying, God, in 3 years, fill this place. But I believe tomorrow, Lord, you're going to bring souls into this place. As soon as we're praying, they're coming in. We have to have that expectation that in the process, because if we're doubting, it's not happening. When we see it the way God sees it, that the reaper is overtaking the plow because he's on his heels. He's not even giving him space to do his job. He says, I'm right here with it. I'm ready to reap it in. I'm ready to gather it in. We need to be ready to gather in the harvest here. We can't get caught up in time. We can't get caught up in the way that it has happened in the past. That this is the natural, because we go through cycles. Churches go through cycles. Do you understand that? Our state goes through cycles. And I believe our state is on the verge of something great. I feel it. Because this is why. Who knows Jesus Christ is coming back? We're getting closer and closer every day. I know that's been preached for 2,000 years. That it's happened. We're not getting farther from it. When we're in a long trip, when the kids were younger, I got this when I was real little. I was riding with a family, a neighbor was going downtown, and one of the kids goes, are we almost there yet? And the dad says, we're not getting farther away. That stuck with me. We're not getting farther from the rapture. We need to be living like we're getting closer, and that is right here. Because when it takes place, it's not going to be, oh, wait, sorry, we'll wait for you. When Jesus steps out, he's stepping out. He's gathering his church right then. I want to be ready. I'm going with him. I'm not going to yell out, hold up, wait for me. I want to be first. I want to pass the plowman. I'm ready to pass what I'm ready to see explode what God has in store for us with great anticipation, because it's not about this church, it's about the kingdom of God. He is doing things right now that's beyond our imagination. He has things in plan that we can't even think about, that we can't plan, because if we plan it, we plan it wrong. But God is orchestrating things in a unique way because He is seeing time different than we see time. I'm not looking at yesterday. I'm not looking at last week. I'm not looking at the last 4 years, the last 10 years. I'm looking at right now and tomorrow. God, what are you doing right now? It doesn't matter what happened last year. I'm glad for the history of this church, but it doesn't matter if we don't move forward in this church. Now, every message that we preach is not about this church, it's about us, but we have to keep bringing it together. God has called us together to worship Him, to serve Him, and to be part of the harvest reapers. Follow with this. Go to Seeds and Dreams. How many have been in those places about planting seeds? We preach best planting seeds. Anybody ever heard a message about planting seeds? Anybody ever planted a seed? How many have planted more than one seed? It seems like how many of you feel like you're always planting seeds, right? I'm not asking to plant another seed. I'm not asking to plant another seed offering for a blessing. I believe many of you have already planted offerings, planted seeds. And this is what I'm asking. To stay faithful in all things. You'll follow me here in just a second. It's not about just always planting the seeds. That sounds good. It sounds spiritual, right? Plant a seed here, plant a seed there. But in that Amos paradigm, and in Amos chapter 9, it wasn't just about planting the seed, but it's about gathering at the same time. There are too many people who've been planting but never gathered. God wants to bless what you have already planted. Somebody needs to hear that. God wants to bless what you have already planted. Take some comfort in that this morning. You have planted some things. And God wants to bless what you have already planted. Maybe you say to yourself, God wants to bless what I have already planted. Sometimes you plant seeds and you forget about it. Where did I plant this? Or you may remind yourself, I planted that seed here in 1972. I planted it here in 1980. I planted it here in 1996. I planted it here. I did it 5 times in 2015. Where is this? When is it going to come about? You might complain about the seeds you planted. Because it's really followed up. Are we being faithful in waiting? Are we being faithful? Because you can keep planting seeds, but it doesn't mean you're faithful, right? Faithfulness is not planting. Faithfulness is in the waiting. Faithfulness is leaning on Christ for everything. Planting sometimes is just doing because somebody instructed you to do. Planting is waiting, and we've got to pause here for a second. My wife experienced this a few years ago at a ladies' conference. It wasn't held by our state, but she was at a ladies' conference. And this stuff just drives through me. I need somebody to plant a $10 offering line right here for your blessing. $10 offering, $10 blessing. Some of you got more faith than that. Here's a $20 line right here. You got a $20 blessing. Anybody ever been there before? Here's a $100 line. If you're really faithful, plant a $1,000 seed because you'll get a $1,000 blessing. I've never read anything like that in the Scripture. We're not going to have divisions of blessings. God is a blesser. He blesses how He wants to bless, and it's based on the heart, not about what you give, but we have to be faithful in what we're supposed to do. So I'm not going to rehearse about the faithfulness of giving tithes and offerings. We already know that. You ought to do what you ought to do. Be faithful in doing. Planting seeds is not always about money. I got to say this though. Some are going to miss a blessing because they've not planted. There's some people who've never planted anything, but they're looking for the blessing. You can't reap what you don't sow. But planting is not just giving money. Because that's what everybody thinks. That's what it is. Planting, it's always about money. It's not always about money. It's about working and waiting. Money is part of it, right? We can't get around that fact. We have to be faithful in our giving of our tithes and our offerings. And then above those things, that many of you are part of our Yes to Missions program because we believe in missions. You've heard my share that vision about our wall out there. It's a small wall right now. I want to see it lined up with missionaries that we're supporting around the world, but I don't want it just to be because we did it $1. I want it to be because we're growing. As more people come in, more missionaries we can support. But it's that we want to make an impact around the world where we may not go, where we can't get to, but God is blessing because of our faithfulness and our heart for Him, because we know that the harvest is outside of Indiana, the harvest is around the world, and there's a field out there that's white and ready to be harvested, but there's no workers. But planting a seed is not always just about money. It's about action. It's about doing. It's about staying charged. It's about staying connected. Yes, money helps because that's what fuels and that's what projects. So it's an obedience that you give, but that's not the planting. I've been there. I've been under, I don't know if it was conviction or motivation or what it was, but I've been moved on to give the $100 offering. I'm like, that's what we've got. Well, I'm going to do it. Because it's not about how much, right? We see the lady had only 2 mites. She gave all. She planted, but she wasn't realizing she was planting. She didn't go over with some preconceived idea. If I give this, this will happen. Right? Sometimes we see it wrong. Sometimes we're trying to give our way out of a situation. You can't give your way out of a situation. You give in obedience. You don't give because you got yourself in trouble thinking that now if I give, I'll get myself out of trouble. You get yourself out of trouble by being faithful, by growing in Him. But I want to give you this promise. Sometimes you think getting out of trouble may be this long path, but the God who's able to make the harvest come up the same day that it's been planted because the reaper's overtaken the plowman, He can also change the troubles in your life. It can happen overnight, but it's not about how much you give. It's not about trying to give yourself out of the trouble, but it's by being faithful. Sometimes it just starts by giving in obedience the very beginning, the first fruits. There's a blessing there. I want to be solid in our teaching. Now, I'm never going to tell you not to give. If the Lord moves on your heart, go ahead, open up the checkbook, open up the heaven. We'll sell celebrate. But you can't do that to get a clear conscience. Giving is not going to make up for something that you did or didn't do. It's a hard thing. But when we are faithful to God, He moves in great and powerful ways. I want you to look at this picture. Many of you have seen the movie probably Facing the Giants. There's this, the one scene that comes from that. Mr. Bridges, who was known to come into the school and pray over every locker for every student in this movie. And some of this movie is based on some true events. It was at a Christian school, and he was allowed to be there. And in this scene of this movie, the coach who was struggling in his football season, he talked to him, and he's asking him, why do you do this all the time? Why are you always here praying? Here's the end of the conversation. Because I heard a story, this is Mr. Bridges, of two farmers praying to God for rain to come. Both prayed, but only one prepared the land. Who do you think trusted God more to send the rain? Sometimes we're not receiving because we're not acting with Him. We're not prepared. Sometimes we may see people getting blessed in a service, and we may wonder, why am I not getting blessed like that? Well, how are you preparing yourself this week before service? How have you been preparing your heart to receive what God was going to do here this morning? If you haven't thought about God since last Sunday, don't expect a blessing today. If you haven't been living for God, this is something that you may take and share with somebody else, because this is not applying to anybody here. But if you haven't been living for God this week, don't expect a blessing on Sunday. You need to say, hey, I can take any time this week to seek God, to talk to God, and I expect to come here and say, God, I'm dealing with all this, and I need you to listen to me right now, and I need you to bless me right now, because I can't make another week if you don't touch it. And He's wondering, you haven't been prepared for this. I can't share with you. I can't give you what I want to give you because I can't trust you with it because you haven't been talking to me. We need to have a relationship with God. We need to be walking with Him every day, preparing our hearts, because what we're doing here is just a celebration what God is doing in our lives every day. I know this is a little bit different this morning and maybe seems unconnected, dysfunctional, but my heart's been stirred this week. We've got to be ready. We can't just talk, but expect. Got to be in our hearts and our minds, expecting, not just for this church, for your lives. This is for you, for your everyday life, because most of us are only together once a week, sometimes twice. This is about your everyday life. How many lives with yourself every day? I know I do. So I need to be connected with God every day for myself. I need to hear a message that challenges me for myself, not just for my church. This is not just about our church. Our church is only made up of you. If the Lord's not blessing you in your everyday lives, how's it going to be a great service or a great time together if we're not walking with the Lord? How can we expect a blessing on our church to see a harvest if we're not expecting God to bless us in our lives? So we have to be ready to receive what God has been doing with the seeds we've already planted. How many's planted a seed? And it's not always money, I've said that. But whatever it is, you're trusting in God, you have to remember, I've done this and I'm doing it in expectation that something's going to come from this. There may be a waiting period, but the waiting period is over. I believe God is about to restore some dreams this morning. I believe God is about to remind you of some seeds that you planted. I believe that God is going to begin to see, you're going to see the growth of that seed, and it's not going to be a long period. It's going to take place. Overnight, some things happen. Anybody have an overnight experience? One day was like this, but the next day was like that. They're not always bad experiences. God can change things overnight in a moment. He does it so quickly. You know how I know? Because here, this is the amazing thing. Of all the people on the earth living at the time of the rapture, they're going to be caught up into heaven in a twinkling of an eye, right? There's not going to be a long line to get to heaven. You're not going to be waiting for the escalator to go up into the clouds. Twinkling of an eye, that fast. If he can remove every Christian, every believer from the face of the earth into heaven that fast, do you think he can change your situation overnight? He's done it. I'm telling my brother Tom was going through his training with his workplace, and he was praying. They were going to send him to Georgia. He didn't want to go to Georgia. It's going to take me a ways out, and it's going to be an uncomfortable thing for me. And he prayed, God, I don't want to really have to go down there if I don't have to. So they sent him to Ohio instead. Just one state over, not too far, a couple hours drive. A lot better situation. Do you believe that's a God thing or just a happenstance? No, I believe God orders our steps. He hears our hearts, and if we're faithful to Him, He will change things. I have a God that watches out over me. It may not always work out the way I want it to, but if I'll trust Him, it will work out. But I've got to be found faithful in the moment. Right now. I can't just lean on the faithfulness I've had over the years, but it's what am I doing right now? What am I prepared to do tomorrow? Because the God I serve is a transforming God. He will change things in an instant. Beyond our imagination. So look at your neighbor and say, don't be surprised. Because right now you may not have a neighbor, but don't be surprised next week you may have a neighbor. Some of you are like, no, don't be surprised next week. There's going to be a neighbor besides you. Be looking for it. Go ahead and go home and say, won't you be my neighbor? Whatever you have to do. Just some of you don't get that. Some of you do. Be ready as I pray for you. You got to wind me down. That's not good. Stand your feet this morning. Expect it. The healings that God has ready to take place. Not because we're praying for people to be sick, but we know that they come in need. The diagnosis may be, it'll take months of recovery, but I've seen God speed up recovery times. Haven't you? Lord, that's where our heart is. That's what we believe. You speed up things. Recovery time. Relationships. In brokenness of relationships that feel like they'll never, ever be mended, God can mend in a moment. Husbands and wives. Parents to sons and daughters. In a moment, relationships are healed. Anybody believe that? In a moment, relationships are healed. This is this favor that is found in God. Lord, we need your favor. We're expecting favor. We're ready for favor. There's some areas in our lives people have planted seeds they've been expecting, but Lord, we're waiting on the favor and it's here now. It's not tomorrow. It's here now. It's not just a cliche, I'm walking in His favor. But it's a statement of faith. I'm walking in His favor because I'm being found faithful. So you go together. They go together saying, I'm walking in His favor because I'm faithful. I'm walking in His favor because I'm faithful. I'm going to be faithful. No one can make you be faithful. If you've been in a season, you feel like you've been in a cycle, you're on the path, but you feel like you've been going round and round. You're not moving up the road. We just find a place around these altars and pray. I'll come pray with you. Just don't worry about people and anything else. They're not going to judge. They're not going to worry and wonder what you're going through. This is between you and God. I want to get out of the cycle. I don't want to just be stuck going around the roundabout. I want to move forward in you. If there's a season in your life where you're stuck in a healing, I need healed physically, emotionally, financially, whatever it may be, Lord, I'm finding your favor now. I'm tired of being this. Whatever your need is this morning, it can be found. Your answer is found right here today.